Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 290. It is Sunday, April 14th as we're recording this. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this episode is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up?
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Happy Game of Thrones Day, guys.
Game of Thrones.
Countdown to 300, though. Let's talk about that. 290.
290.
Countdown to 300. That's pretty cool.
If we record every week, what's 10 weeks from now?
July 4th? I have no idea.
Sometime in June-ish? Yeah. Early June, maybe?
Maybe.
Mid-June?
Sure.
Anyway, 300. Episode 300 is coming. It's Game of Thrones Day today. First episode of Game of Thrones Season 8. The final season drops tonight. And as we're recording this, that is in an hour and a half. So,
you sound so excited.
Oh, I'm ready.
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah,
I don't always hear it in your voice, how excited you are, but I can definitely hear this in your voice.
It has been.
I can hear it.
It has been Game of Thrones all day today. That's the focus. There's been videos of the actors talking about their last days on set. There's a happy little special bottle of the White Walker from Johnny Walker in the freezer. Yeah. It's awesome.
There's a lot of people actually I've been hearing are doing Game of Thrones parties today. So you're not alone in the hype, getting started. So
we got the Game of Thrones Oreos, baby.
Wait, what?
Game of Thrones Oreos. There's Game of Thrones everything this season. I mean,
everything. Yeah.
I feel
they
like
monopolized on everything when it came to
a little yucky
monetizing everything.
Yucky?
Oh yeah, because I don't know. I've never heard of a TV. That'd be like if Friends in its final season started monetizing everything that was Friends, like Friends coffee, or Friends snackables. It's like weird. I've never seen a TV show.
They did though, man. Like with Friends, I feel like they did.
I don't remember like merchandising stuff from the final season, but that's especially not like Oreos. I mean, what kind of thing does Oreos have to do with Game of Thrones? To me, that's straight up some movie stuff, like what you see with Avengers Endgame or Captain Marvel or something. It's strange for a show like Game of Thrones to have such a outside tie-in to the show.
I don't know. The show's big enough, though. I mean, when you're comparing it to other shows, I feel like this would be the show. If any show we're going to do it, I think this would be the one.
Pretty big.
Well, since you used the example, Bobby, I just did a quick search, and the first site that I found is Friends Cafe Press, Friends TV show and gifts, mugs, calendars, T-shirts, onesies where they say how you doing on it. It's a Moo Point magnet, sweatshirts, lots of onesies, posters, You're My Lobster, crap bag, like tote bags. I mean, yeah, you want to talk about monetizing a show. I understand where you're coming from, Bobby. That was just the wrong example because this is all over the place.
No, but what I mean is like in its final season thing going like all in on a push. Like when Breaking Bad ended, there wasn't like, oh, you can get Breaking Bad baldies or I don't know. It's something about this Game of Thrones final season that it definitely seems like it's an all-in push on anything that you can get, like Mad Dash or anything Game of Thrones.
No, that's fair, dude. I totally get what you're saying. Like, I totally do. I'm just like doing a quick search. I'm just, saying. But no, I understand. Like, I think it's kind of gross too, especially the Game of Thrones cookies. Like, yeah, that's a little bit much.
Whatever, they're yummy.
I was gonna say they're pretty freaking yummy, and I'm definitely looking forward to my Johnny Walker White Walker Scotch later. So,
and see, that actually came out maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think it's been out for about two years now, but still, like you can dig on me all you want, and
the kind of stuff that I feel like they're marketing on, like the examples at least that we're giving, or going back to the whole watch party thing. It's perfect stuff for like, hey, people want to bring to a watch party, or they want to host their own party, and they want to have Game of Thrones themed treats like Oreos. I mean, it makes sense.
Dude, so my office had a crock pot party because we do that every now and then, and it was it literally was Friday, and it was Game of Thrones themed, and people went out for it, man. Like, there was decorations. My one boss was like literally wearing like a night costume. People were walking around saying Game of Thrones quotes. Like, there was one guy that literally like filled his cup with like the sparkling red grape juice, and he was like, "I drink and I know things." That's all he did for like an hour. Just walked around the office drinking this little
I
grape
drink
juice.
and I know things.
And then, like, I think the piece de resistance, though, is for what people brought in for their food, they were naming them really awesome, catchy things. Like, oh God, what was the Queen of Roses, the Thorns? What was it? What was her name? There was like a cheese platter.
David should know. He's been watching.
There was a cheese platter that was named after her. There was a punch that was all about King Joffrey's, like, maybe not so poison punch. Lady? Yeah. And then like one person made meatballs, and they called them Greyjoy meatballs.
Oh my God, seriously?
It was awesome. That's what I'm saying. Like, people are getting creative. So it's like, you have a watch party, you could like have food and like name it after this stuff. You can get creative with it. It's fun. And of course somebody brought the Oreos, you know. So it's just, I don't know. I say go with it. It's all in good fun.
So with the one of the things I did see that actually I thought was kind of cool, and I would have actually just worn them, but they had some special Nike edition Game of Thrones shoes for different houses, and those look pretty cool. But I heard as soon as they went on sale, they sold out, and now they're like selling for hundreds of dollars on eBay and all that stuff.
I'm sure.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
No. But I guess aside from the Game of Thrones Day stuff that we have going on, there's quite a bit going on in the news this week, actually. And one of the things that I had been anticipating for quite some time was the announcement of Disney Plus. Finally, you know, we've gotten all this news about the service in just leaks and nothing official other than just some of the things here and there that they were willing to talk about. But they finally had their investor day, and Bob Iger laid it out for the whole thing, showed the service, said that the price point was $6.99 a month or $69.99 for the year. And you're getting everything pretty much. You're getting Disney stuff, you're getting Pixar stuff, you're getting Marvel stuff, and you're getting Lucasfilm stuff as well. And it's like they just kind of bombarded everybody with all these different things that they're showing. And I was already on board just knowing from the point of, okay, we're getting Marvel stuff. So that was enough to sell me on it. And then they were like, okay, we're going to also have this Star Wars stuff on there. So bam, I'm gone. I mean, I'm all in. But not everybody was on board just yet. And I know that specifically some people were waiting to hear price point. So my thought is, like, I'm thinking now the public seems to be more aware of it because it's been announced and more people are covering it. So is this something that you guys hadn't been interested in and will get now, or is it still sort of waiting for more material to appear? So I'm gonna hit it to you, Yasha. What are you thinking?
Oh, no, I was definitely interested in what this was going to be because, like you, Bobby, I've been kind of following it and kind of excited. And just with the addition of them taking over Fox, they have, I mean, that adds, their catalog has grown exponentially. And it's really cool to hear, like, you know, that one of the things that they're going to offer is all 30 seasons or whatever, or 20 seasons or whatever it is of The Simpsons. That's going to be available. Every Marvel movie available. Every Marvel, every Star Wars movie, all available. Like, that's enough, like, for me, just to start. Then you add the Disney catalog of, like, all these old school movies that you don't necessarily, may not have personally, but have access to now. Like, one of my favorites, all-time favorites, is 101 Dalmatians. Not the live action version. I'm talking about the one that they made years ago, the animated version. That's probably one of my favorites, if not the favorite Disney movie that I've watched when I was a kid. And then, you know, add some of the other ones that I remember watching that I haven't seen in years that I would probably sit down and watch, like Bedknobs and Broomsticks. This is exciting. Like, I was stoked when I saw that, and I been hearing more and more about it, and then add into the fact that the price is just like starts so cheap. Like, I mean, they're going to bump it up eventually. Like, it's going to start to creep up probably after 6 months to a year. It'll start to creep up for sure. But they really did a good job of like making that announcement, and it was exciting for me. So I'm stoked. Like, here you go. Here's my $7 a month. Congratulations. You have me still tied in. I'm all in.
Michelle, where were you at with it?
I don't know. I'm back and forth on it still, honestly. Like, I see the pluses to it. And that's more or less, I think, the more original things that they're going to be putting onto it. And then, yeah, having some of their older content on there, I think is spectacular. But I don't know. At the same time, like, I'm not. I feel like there's just so much Disney out there everywhere as it is. So I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. Like, it's cool that that's available and they're going to have this. Like I said, the thing that gets me hyped, I think, more is the original content that'll be on there. Like their own programming, their own shows they're creating specifically for it, the way CBS Access has. So that is awesome. But overall, I'm still kind of like, if I don't have it, I don't feel like I'm going to be missing a ton in my life.
I think that's fair. And I kind of figured that's sort of where you would land, but I wasn't sure just because it depends on how much you like the original stuff. Because one of the things I saw that was on there, they showed like, oh, Mary Poppins. And so I was thinking, oh, well, I know Michelle loves the old original Disney stuff. So that alone, I thought might just be enough for you. But sounds like you're saying you would kind of prefer more of the original stuff because you probably either own the original movies, or you're just kind of looking for something that you can't just already get yourself right now.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm kind of like, when it comes to the original stuff, I think it's great, but I have a lot of the stuff as it is, just because I've collected for so many years. But it's nice to have it like at your fingertips when you're on the couch. That'd be handy. But otherwise, I think it's the new stuff that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you in that sense. It's nice having the old, I should say classic stuff, but I'm looking forward to the new material. And I feel like I don't even really have to ask David, but just for the sake of making sure I touch on everybody, what are you thinking, David?
Please. If I could sign up now, I would sign up. Like, I'm the opposite of Michelle, basically, on this. Like, I wouldn't say opposite, because that would mean Michelle would be like, oh, I don't want it. So that would be the opposite. So that's not true. But, I mean, yes, just the fact, I'm a big enough Star Wars fan that the fact that there's going to be original Star Wars content on there is like, that's all you have to tell me. And I'm good. And I'm signing up, and basically the rest is all benefit bonus, stuff, like the Marvel stuff too. It's like, great. And then the fact that it's Disney and all of that Disney content right there in one place. I have 2 children. So yeah,
exactly.
And then the price point is ridiculous. I'm shocked at how cheap this is. At $6.99 a month, I believe. Is crazy to me. And then you look at versus a provider like Apple TV Plus, which I believe is coming in at $9.99 a month. I don't understand. I mean, Apple TV may have some great original content on there, but the catalog is not going to compare to Disney Plus, which is $3 cheaper a month. That's going to be interesting for Apple to see how they react to it. But, I mean, I said before, I feel like, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or it was off the air. Maybe it was at WonderCon. I feel like we're entering this time, though, with streaming services that I've been dreading. I think we've all been dreading, where it's like, up until this point, Netflix has been the big guy in town. Like, everything is on there. And yeah, Hulu's got some good stuff, and, Amazon has some good stuff, but there's not too much out there to choose from. But now we're about to get bombarded with all these different services, and you can't subscribe to all of them, or at least a lot of people can't. So now it's going to turn into, oh, which ones do I get and which ones do I have to ignore? And that's going to be annoying. There might be great shows on Apple TV Plus that I might be like, yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm not forking out another $10 a month on another service just so I can watch this one show. Like, yeah, that's going to be the annoying part of all this.
Yeah. I feel like Apple TV is probably going to be the ones that struggle the most with this type of thing. Hulu is part of Disney now. Officially, they own some of it, and Fox had a big part of it. So they now own Fox. So they're going to be the main competitors. I mean, Netflix is going to be fine, just because they have their own original content that's really, really good and very acclaimed and everything like that. But there are also plenty of movies that Disney aren't necessarily going to have on their streaming service, whereas in Netflix definitely will. So I feel like people will more so keep the Netflix type of thing. I don't know what Apple TV is going to have to do. Like I said before, I fully expect the price for the Disney Plus to start to creep up after a year or so.
Right.
Just kind of slowly we have an influx of more people than what we really expected. So we definitely need to actually be able to handle the capacity of traffic. So that's why we're raising it $2, or whatever and stuff like that. And some nonsense that I think that they're going to come up with once people start to really attach themselves to this. And they're like, okay, well, we can start raising the price, that sort of thing. But like I said, I think Netflix is going to be fine. I think Hulu is going to be, relatively fine as well. I just think, some of the other ones are just going to kind of start to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to happen. Either that or what might initially happen before that takes place is there's going to be a lot of password sharing going on. And then we'll see how they crack down on that. And then once they start to crack down, I think that's where some of these smaller ones will start to lose out, because you just can't have everything. And especially not if there's only just one or two shows that you want to see on one of these streaming services. I don't think that's enough. And either they're going to have to combine with other ones, or they're going to have to essentially maybe license out some of their stuff. But they're definitely not all going to be able to stay on top.
No, not at all.
Well, that wasn't the only thing in the news. I mean, that kind of kicked off the week, and that was big in and of itself. But the news just kind of kept rolling in Disney's favor once they had Thursday come around, and that was the start of a Star Wars celebration that was going on in Chicago. And one of the things that everyone was anticipating for sure was the Star Wars Episode 9 title and trailer, and we got both on Friday. So I want to say, just starting off the bat, when the trailer was coming out, me and David were watching the live stream. So it was kind of like watching the panel, which is cool. I feel like getting to see some of these people is kind of like how when we're at Hall H and you're in a panel and you're seeing, I don't know, let's say the Avengers panel or something, and you're seeing everybody and they're coming out and they're talking and telling their stories. And it's cool, but deep down, all you want is to see that footage. That's all you care about when you're in the room. It's like, I'm enjoying that they're here and I'm able to see this and their camaraderie and speeches and stuff, but just show me the trailer, please. And that's how I felt watching the live stream. Maybe if you're there, it maybe felt a little bit different, especially because you had some people coming out that, you probably have been waiting a long time to see. So seeing Billy D. Williams come out for his character as Lando Calrissian and talk about that's pretty exciting. That's pretty cool stuff. But I think the harder part, to me at least, was watching JJ and Kathleen Kennedy talk about, or actually not talk about the movie, because every question that Stephen Colbert asked, who was the moderator for the panel, seemed like they couldn't answer much or say much. And it's like, you feel like you've had so many months to prepare for this. You could at least told Stephen, here's what you can ask, or, to a certain degree, if you're not going to answer specific things, there could have been a better way to not answer it, but it made the show sort of drag on, in my personal opinion. But once we got to the trailer, I felt like this was seeing everything they've said before about this being the culmination of the whole saga and all these movies, all 9 movies, trying to bring it all together. Once you start to see some of the things tie in, that they're doing, everything looked cool. But the two things that stood out to me most were, one, the wreckage of the Death Star that was in the background in one of the shots, and of course the laugh. And when I heard the laugh, it was just, for me, it gave me those feels, just because I think with Star Wars and this latest saga, I love what JJ did to introduce new characters and give us new people to root for and to love. But one thing that I feel has been sorely missing, and others will disagree, is I don't feel like there's been a good villain to latch on to. And Palpatine has always been someone you just love to hate. He's very evil, and he's so manipulative, and just been around, obviously, since the beginning of this saga. So to see him come back, I could see how some people would say, well, you're just sort of revisiting the past. But had they given me someone else, like if Snoke had turned out to be someone evil and someone you could want to see destroyed, I think I'd have been okay with them or against them using Palpatine. But I had never considered Kylo Ren to be this major bad villain that they should be going against. He just hasn't stood up and been that force of evil to me enough to where I cared enough for him to be the bad villain of this latest trilogy. So Palpatine coming back means this is a legit stand-up villain that we can go against and give the heroes some real trouble. So for me, I loved it, that part of it. The rest of the trailer I thought was fine as a teaser, but it was those two things that really kind of pulled me into it and made me want to see more. And I guess I got to go with David first, because we were watching that live stream, and obviously I'm sure you probably had some of the similar feelings as me about the panel itself, but I really am curious to hear your thoughts on the trailer itself, or the teaser.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the panel, like, it just felt like a long, drawn out, like, okay, we have to ask each person that we're bringing out on the stage a question about their experience, about this movie we don't even know the title to yet. And it's just like, come on. I mean, I love these people. This is cool and all, but like you said, like, we're all watching this, at least those of us streaming it are watching it to find out what's this title going to be. And we want to see some footage. And, you know, compared to, you know, we've all been in Hall H. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like at least a lot of times with the big panels in there, Warner Brothers or Marvel, a lot of times we'll get footage very early in the panel, and then, okay, let's chat about what you guys just saw, or we'll bring people out on stage, but we see something pretty quickly. You know, this was definitely a case of we're waiting till the very last second of this panel to finally show you something. I'm like, come on, you guys are killing me. But yeah, and then, you know, what you said about the villain, I'm right there with you. If Snoke had turned out to, you know, to go somewhere, if you will, you know, like, okay, fine, like that would have been fine. But since that didn't go anywhere, then I'm all for revisiting a previous a villain, and also kind of helping tie this into the larger scheme of things with the entire 9 films. You know, I think it's great. And then as the teaser goes, yeah, I'm with you. I think the teaser looks good. I'm not like, oh my God, blown away by a lot of other shots and stuff in it. I think it looks great, and I'm curious to see more. But yeah, there's no doubt the end of that teaser was awesome. If anything, I would say, as for the rest of the footage, if I have I mean, this is a nitpicky disappointment, but there's a part of me that's like, I almost expected Rey to kind of have somewhat of a newer, kind of different look, you know, and she just basically still looks the same. She's wearing basically still the same costume, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. I kind of expected something a little different. I mean, I don't know. That I found kind of disappointing, but like I said, that's nitpicky kind of disappointment.
It's interesting that you say that, because I hadn't really thought about it, but you're right in that sense. And also along the lines of, Star Wars has always been big on merchandising. So you would think that giving Rey a new look would have just been a more incentive to sell some more toys.
Right.
Just giving her, a new hairstyle or some different clothes. But yeah, she did look basically the same. Whereas some of the other characters either were wearing something different or they had a different hair look to them. But she pretty much looks just like Rey.
Yeah, she just looks the same as she almost always has. I don't know. I found it surprising. Like in the original trilogy, I always felt like Luke, between the 3 films, had a different look for each movie. I kind of somewhat expected that with this, and I was surprised when they showed her. They first started showing stills during the panel, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, she's okay. And that in this shot, her costume is just more white, but okay, it's basically the same. I don't know.
Yeah. But overall, though, you were happy with this, at least for as far as being a first teaser.
Oh yeah, no, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm curious. I want to hear what Michelle and Yasha thinks, but I also have a question for you too about, and for everybody, their thoughts on do we really think that the Emperor is still alive, or are we talking about his presence in another form here?
Well, you can swing back around to me, but I guess since Michelle hasn't really given her thoughts, I'll let her give her thoughts and then answer that question as well.
I mean, for me, I basically got to watch this on my lunch break, the trailer. And so I was watching it and, you're watching it, I'm watching it build, I'm watching this teaser build and build and build. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I will say when Rey does like a backwards kickflip thing, I was like, what? And then I was like, okay, this is a pretty good trailer. We got some good shots, and yeah, there was a part of me that got excited. I was like, oh, Leondo, my heart kind of like got a little excited there, a little fluttery. And then at the end, you get the Palpatine laugh, and I was kind of like, huh, okay. Okie dokie, that's cool. But part of me, and this goes to answering your question, I'm like, I don't think that he's still around. I think that some kind of variation of him in some other format. I don't think it's him exactly. I don't know. I mean,
for me, I'll say real quick, I don't think that makes it any less exciting. Like, if this is just a Force ghost Palpatine, like I still think that's exciting. I'm just kind of curious.
I think for me, I'm not excited about Palpatine as a whole. I'm kind of like, what? Oh, like. Oh.
Whoa.
We got one. One of them who's not excited.
I mean, I was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I thought we moved on from that, but I guess not. Guess we're going back around in circles again. But
come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a very let's move forward kind of a person, and I feel like this is just going back again. I don't know. Yeah. I will say, like, I think it looks good. From a teaser trailer standpoint, it was a good teaser trailer. I like the way it was put together. The look of everything looks awesome. It's exciting to see, the gang's all here kind of moments, and I look forward to it. Like, I'm excited for this film. But the Palpatine thing, I was kind of like, okay. I guess I was hoping that in a weird way, like, it was like, oh, they went back again. Okay. Like, I guess I'm looking for more new and not so much old. I know. I've just crushed you all.
Well, no, I mean, that has been an argument online that I've seen from some people who are kind of disappointed between that and the title reveal. They're, with what the possibility of what that could mean. There's a lot of people who are feeling like, man, they loved what Rian Johnson did with The Last Jedi and felt like there was something different and was moving in a different direction. Well, but the idea is just that, again, it was going into a different direction with what Rian Johnson did. So people are feeling either nervous or just outright not liking the idea that maybe JJ is trying to circle back and maybe possibly undo or retcon what Rian Johnson did, which to me makes no sense because I kind of feel like that's what Rian Johnson did to JJ is retcon and
everything
do
JJ
things
did
differently. Yeah, everything that JJ did. So I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, it has to play out, right? And we've got many months for speculation and other trailers to drop before we obviously flesh out a little bit more of this. But Yasha, you haven't had your chance to speak your piece. So what's up?
No, I kind of actually, I mean, to an extent, agree with Michelle when it comes to, the return or quote unquote, in question of Palpatine. And what David said, it's like I would have liked to see maybe another attachment to a villain. Snoke wasn't really it. He was in and out of the movie so quickly, like it didn't really resonate or really have that much of a storyline or that arc. Even taking it back further to Darth Maul, like we had one movie with him in it really, and then it just he was gone. We have this huge hype and build up for another character having the title of Darth on it. And then, we kind of get into the saga of, the Palpatine and, the Emperor and all that other stuff. And we just haven't had that attachment, I think, to another bad guy as we have with Vader, Palpatine, the Emperor, whatever you want to call him, as we've had with these other characters, as we've had when, growing up. Because they're so big and bad and they're so iconic. I mean, I would have liked to see maybe something else a little bit in there as well. I'm excited to see what capacity he's in the film, how he's in there. Maybe he's a Force ghost. I don't know what that would involve. I mean, or what that would be like, because I don't think, to my recollection, we've ever had a dark side Force ghost kind of be the influence to somebody. I think they've done a really decent job with Kylo Ren and making him a big bad. But he's also just like a big bad that's torn. Like he's all over the place. And I hope that with this next movie, we don't see him more centralized in regards to how evil he wants to really be and what his goals are. And then we don't get the character anymore, if that makes sense. Like the fun part about seeing some of these characters over the course of a couple of movies is we get a chance to really see how they evolve, whether it be how they evolve as a good guy or how they evolve as a bad guy. So as far as the trailer goes, it did give me all kinds of feels. Like I was really impressed with some of it. It's a teaser in the true statement of the word. I loved, the look of Ren, but it's the same look. Nothing has changed with her real character, her look. And I think that they should have kind of evolved her character, because it makes me wonder what the timeline this is when it comes to, the last one, or has it been a year? Has it been 6 months? Has it been, 5 years, or whatever the case may be? But she looks exactly the same. I did get excited when I saw Billy D. Williams on screen again, and I was like, oh, Lando. I was really excited to see that. So I'm interested to seeing the dynamic and the characters interact with each other, especially talking about, they're going to talk about Han. I'm not super excited to see a CGI Leia, but hopefully it'll be something that fits in the storyline and it fits well. But I'm looking forward to the movie. I did get all kinds of feels for it, so I'm excited. I can't wait. I've seen the trailer now a couple of times, and I'm just really, really looking forward to it, especially when they kind of address the Death Star and they see the ruins of it in the distance. And just JJ's really good about throwing in stuff when it comes to helping people attach to the movie by putting in throwbacks. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of throwbacks he puts into this film, and if Lando's really the only one or the strongest one when it comes to that. So yeah, but I'm excited.
Well, to be clear too, you're not going to see a CG Leia in this. So the footage you're seeing,
not?
No, the footage you're seeing of Leia is footage that was shot that wasn't used,
and or body doubles,
right?
To get a back view or a slight side view of her. It's all stuff that's been shot for a while.
I mean, obviously it's being worked into shots with people who are, acting for this film.
Right.
But yeah. I don't think they're not pulling a Rogue One kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I wasn't entirely sure. So thanks for correcting me on that.
But I think the good news is they had enough footage that they've shot with her in the past, for the past 2 films, that they were able to work it in so that they don't have to rely on CGI. And I'm thankful for that. That'll be nice. That'll be nice that our goodbye is going to be done in a way that it's real. It's not
right.
I don't know. It's not computerized, which is good. So yeah, so Rise of Skywalker, huh?
Yeah. So I guess with the title, and before I get to my thoughts on the title, just to answer David's question really quick, I personally think that he will be in it. To what degree, I don't know. I think he is alive, just because, I mean, the whole series, not the whole series, but some part of the series had to deal with clones. And so it's not, to me, an unheard of thought that he could have cloned himself. It's been done in the extended universe stuff at this point, in books and comics. So to me, them trying to pull from that and do it in the movie makes sense if they're going to go that route. And there's also, if he's not alive, I think then what we might get is some sort of on the Death Star, like some sort of holocron where you see his image and hear his voice, and Kylo Ren finds that artifact or something like that.
Right.
And that's probably the only other aspect I think that he would be in.
I mean, it could be something similar to how he appears in Battlefront 2. He appears in this form of this kind of almost like a robotic kind of hologram thing. You'd have to see it to understand how.
Yeah, you'd have to see it to understand. It's kind of like a robotic body
messenger thing, almost.
Yeah, with his sort of face imprinted in a hologram kind of thing. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. But the title itself, when I saw the title, I honestly didn't react one way or the other to it. I was just like, The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. And I didn't put too much into it just because, I don't know, there's so many different ways it can read. And then as I was looking online and seeing how other people were reading it, I was like, okay, now that's interesting. The most obvious one to me was if they were talking about Rey, but I really honestly don't believe that Rey's parents are going to be anything to do with Skywalkers or anything of that nature. I really think he'll probably leave that alone. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that they're going to mess with that. But some of the other readings out there I thought were interesting, but just my initial thought to it was just like, okay, it didn't grab me one way or the other. It didn't lose me. I didn't think it was a terrible title. I didn't think it was a fantastic title that just made me super stoked. It was just okay. So, I mean, that's my thoughts. But Michelle, you brought it up. What'd you think?
I'll be honest. I was kind of like, I'm mixed on it. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. I guess for me, I feel like the titles, I like that they're, I don't want to say more generic, but I feel like the titles in the past have just kind of left more to the imagination. And this doesn't, I don't know. I don't like that it's making me like think about like all the context, I guess, to it, if that makes any sense. Like I'm really hoping that it's not something where it is about Rey, and I don't know. I'm not a fan. It's one of those weird things. Like I can't really even quite explain it. It's more just a feeling like I'm just not really feeling it as much. Like I just don't. I don't know. It's not evoking the I guess what they're trying to get out of me in that way. Best way I could put that.
What about you, David?
I like it a lot, mainly because in the context of what we know so far, it doesn't make sense. And that means to me that obviously there's a lot of stuff happening in this movie that I'm not predicting well. So, and that's what I like about it. You know, if this had been something more generic, like Balance of the Force or something, you know, like then I would have been like, okay, whatever. I bet this is going to kind of go down the road that we all imagine it's going to go down. But with a title like this, I'm left going, okay, I don't understand what the hell that means in the context of who we know is who right now and what's going on. Like, so now I'm left going, okay, cool. Like it definitely appears like this movie's going to go down the roads that I'm not expecting, and that makes me excited. So that's why I like it. I mean, am I scratching my head from the title? Yeah, definitely. I'm still going, huh? Like, and I don't quite get it. But, as we've known this whole time, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. It wasn't like Skywalkers are done now. We know that, Kylo Ren is still alive. But, yeah, it makes me excited because it makes me go, I'm curious to see how they answer this question of what the hell that even means. So that's why I like it.
Interesting. I honestly, if I had pegged what you would have thought about it, I would have probably thought you would have been indifferent for the most part, just because we don't know, and it doesn't really invoke specifically one thing. But
I mean, when they revealed it at the end of the teaser, I was very surprised by it. I was like, whoa, that is not at all the kind of title I was expecting to see on screen. I really thought it was going to be something more vague, like the example I gave, something along those lines, something that kind of like wraps it all up, like everything is in balance now and everything's hunky-dory, that kind of title, like this was not what I expected. Like
all the titles, are like, they're chapters of a book, basically, is the way they all read to me. And this one doesn't feel like a chapter title. Does that make sense?
Not really. Like, I don't see why I wouldn't.
I don't know. It just doesn't to me. I don't know why I have that feeling. I feel like everything else, it's like, it's encapsulating more of what's going to be happening. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I'm weird about the whole title.
Interesting. Yasha, what are you thinking?
As far as the title goes, I mean, I'm just kind of like indifferent. Like, I was like, oh, The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. It didn't really do much to me, or for me. I was more excited about just some of the images and the teasing of it. But like, I honestly don't know what to expect from the title because I don't feel like the titles have really done anything for me in the past either. So it's kind of like indifferent when it comes to that. So I'm just like, whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fair. It is interesting when you look online and hear what other people think of the title and what they think the title means. Because I swear some of the things that they came up with, I'm just like, where did your mind go that you came up with this? Like, it boggles my mind, but I guess that's part of the fun of it for some people is just that whole speculation. But we did get some other stuff coming out of Star Wars Celebration. And one of the things that, I don't know, maybe David, you can actually speak to it a little bit more than me. I didn't get to read up enough on it to know all the ins and outs, but they announced a game that's coming out. And I believe it's called The Lost Jedi or
Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay, there we go. And what I do know is that it's a solo game. It's not one of the games that has like the online campaigns where you're fighting against other people and stuff like that. And there's no microtransactions to it. It's just kind of like a old school single player game that essentially you're like a Padawan that takes place a little bit after the hunt for all the Jedi begin. And you're being hunted by one of the I forget what they're called, Inquisitors, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's about where my knowledge stops. So do you have any extra stuff that you know about?
Not much. I've seen the trailer. I kind of know what you've already mentioned, that it does seem like it's more of a single player kind of campaign driven game. Kind of almost the opposite of what EA has done so far with the two Battlefront games, where it's just almost purely a multiplayer experience, with the exception of that short campaign in Battlefront 2. But I mean, yeah, this game doesn't drop till I think November, and I believe it's also produced by, I think it's called Respawn Entertainment, and they're also what's the word I'm looking for? They also created the Titanfall series, which I've never played, but I've heard a lot of great things about. So maybe that is a good sign. I don't know. I've heard some people are excited about this game for that reason, since they're involved. I will say, watching the trailer, I was like, okay. I mean, I'm, as a Star Wars fan, I'm almost certainly going to play it, but I'm not like overly pumped about it at this point. I would have been more excited by the idea of an open world kind of Star Wars game, which this doesn't appear to be. So one day if we get something like that, I'm all in.
Yeah, I have to go and watch that trailer. I actually haven't even seen the trailer. So I am a little curious I don't know, and maybe you can just say just right off the top, is it just all cutscenes or is it in-game footage?
No, it's all cutscenes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I won't watch it. I don't need real story points at this point in the process of the game being made. So
no, it plays like an animated, like a computer animated Star Wars movie kind of. That's what it looks like in the trailer.
Maybe there'll be more, and I'm pretty sure there'll probably be more at E3, which is right around the corner. So
yeah.
Right.
I don't know, Michelle or Yasha, did you have any thoughts about the game?
I didn't even know that the game was coming out, man. So sorry.
No worries.
I can't contribute to that at all. Just
thought I'd check because
all
right. You guys have that conversation, but I kind of thought maybe you probably weren't, in line with that. Because I don't even think do you own a gaming system, one of the current gaming systems, Joshua?
I do not. I was really close to getting a PlayStation over Christmas, and I did not.
Okay. Michelle, I didn't want to leave you.
No, I mean, like, I haven't watched the trailer for it, but from what I hear, it sounds pretty cool, and I'm pretty open to playing any kind of video games whenever. So, I'm down. I'm cool with it.
I definitely feel like this is one I will probably play as well. Same as you, David. It's a Star Wars game, and I'm always hungry for that content. So I feel like I'll definitely pick this up. And anything that has a game where it's centered around a Jedi of sorts, then it's definitely right up my alley to where I feel like I want to play it. So I am interested in it, but I just want to see more from it, especially game footage. But I'm sure that'll be coming up soon. And for the final day of celebration, they had a couple of different panels. One for the Clone Wars that's coming back. I guess they're telling a final season of it with 12 episodes and continuing and ending that series. And I particularly never actually watched Clone Wars. I've seen minutes of it here and there, but I really did get into Rebels, which was after Clone Wars. And so I'm kind of curious. I may at some point try and watch Clone Wars, especially once it goes to Disney Plus. But I don't know if anyone else has watched the animated series of Clone Wars. The only person I can guess may have is David. So had you watched it? I can't remember.
Clone Wars, sadly not. I've wanted to. Okay. I've seen the opening film to the series, but that's it.
Okay.
I've watched some of it on and off.
Yeah, Michelle?
Yeah, like some of the earlier seasons, but episodes randomly. And it was pretty good. I think for me, it's because it's chopped up into the little 30-minute episode. Like it takes a long time to get moving. It's like 3 hours go by, and I'm like, oh my god, we're finally getting somewhere in the storyline. It's a lot of dialogue and a lot of just empty things that are happening that don't actually mean anything towards the greater picture. It takes a long time to get something that really is important to the actual storyline to happen. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I've heard, and that's why I think I've always sort of dragged my feet upon watching it, because they have a lot of episodes that don't pertain to anything in particular. There's sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, filler episodes. And, I don't really kind of care to, in this point in time, sit through a series that has filler episodes, because a lot of shows these days, you got your 13 episode seasons, and they're all connected one back to back. They're not really any filler episodes per se. They're not, going off script. So as much as a show like that did with so many episodes. So, yeah. I mean, aside from that, I think I did see at one point in time, there's a guide where if you just wanted to watch the series and get the main beats of it, it said, okay, watch these episodes from this first season and so on and so forth, which I kind of thought about doing at one point in time.
I could see doing that.
Yeah.
Moving it along a little faster. Because, I remember there was there's been probably two or three times where I've basically been like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I'd watch, most of a season. I'd be like, this is the only distance we've gone in like how many episodes? Like it was just like, oh Jesus, criminy, this is gonna take forever. Like it was just like, okay, you know, it's because it is made for kids. Like you could tell this one's made for kids, you know, to a point. And I don't know, it just it's a lot of, and I hate using that word filler, but it is a lot of filler. A lot of episodes are like, what was the point? What happened? Was there a point that actually goes to the major story arc here? No, not at all. So,
right.
Anyways, there's other news that came out though.
Yep. So the last thing that we had to talk about with the Star Wars Celebration is the Mandalorian panel, which I had personally been looking forward to just as much as the trailer and teaser for Episode 9. And for those who don't know, Mandalorian is starring Pedro Pascal, who is of Game of Thrones fame and has also been in a multitude of movies at this point. And so he is playing the Mandalorian. And it, correct me if I'm wrong, David, because I might get some points wrong here, but I believe it takes place 5 years after the Return of Jedi.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. And he was going to be sort of a bounty hunter, and he's of questionable allegiances, I guess, which is a bounty hunter, seems to go par for the course. And there's a lot of other people that are in the series as well, like Carl Weathers. There's Gina Carano. I'm probably forgetting some other major people that are in it, but it's produced and written by Jon Favreau, and as well as Dave Filoni is co-producer on it. And I want to say it's 12 episodes first season.
I think so, yeah. Yeah,
So-
no, that one, I'm interested in this one too. Like,
Okay.
Again, this is where I'm like, okay, Disney Plus, this is where you're getting me right here. You know, this is where I'm like, okay, you might be taking my money for a little while just because I'm curious about this show. I'm curious about The Mandalorian, and I like who they have in it. And I will say that panel was very frustrating because there's really nothing you got out of this panel. And then what little footage they had, apparently, they didn't show it on the live stream. It was only for people in the room. And so I was like, son of a monkey's uncle. Like, I wanted to see things, and not like, I think they had like 4 stills they kept revolving around. It was the same 4 stills. I'm like, that looks great.
You say
I
that,
want more.
They were actually, as terms of for the production value of the panel too, they weren't very good about actually showing the stills to the streaming audience, like on the
Right.
screen, like they did during the episode 9 panel, where they would actually show it to you. Like all you were seeing was like the camera shots. And I'm like,
Right.
all right, you're not going to show me footage apparently, which I wasn't expecting. Like, but okay, whatever. Sorry, go on.
No, I mean, it was kind of like, I was like, I'm really curious about this show, and I have been since they announced this was happening, and then they announced who the actor was going to be as the Mandalorian. I was like, hot diggity damn! Like, this is sounding really cool. Like, we're building towards a thing, and this panel, if anything, was just kind of like, well, that'll lit an hour of my life on fire. It's just like, well, damn it.
It struck me as actually I liked the format of the panel in terms of like, you know, it was Favreau and Filoni walked out
That
with
was nice.
Kathleen Kennedy, and then she kind of leaves and they just kind of standing there just chatting, and a lot of it was them just kind of talking about how this came to be. But what I was going to say is like I liked the format of the panel. I think for the people who were there, it felt like, I bet it was a more entertaining panel to be there for. But for those of us who were watching at home, and don't get me wrong, I'm just as curious about a lot of details about the show, but I'm also like, man, I want to see footage. I was excited about seeing finally some footage. And then when they first go to footage, which it was nice to see they were doing it earlier in the panel, I was like, sweet, we don't have to wait till the end. And then he's like, so the streaming people, you're going to come back in, 3 minutes. I'm like, wait, what?
What's
and
happening
then it goes dark and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't get to see any of this?
Well, so to me, I guess because you had told me, because I didn't realize the panel was so early, and then I jumped in on it, and you were like, yeah, they kind of aren't showing the footage to the people at home. And at first I was sort of had the same reaction as you, and then I guess I kind of calmed down a little bit and thought about it, and I was like, well, I guess this is how people feel when we're in Hall H and they don't get to see stuff. But
yeah,
what made me really think about it, though, honestly, is what I think technically upset me, is that they had been seeming like for anything else they've been doing, showing footage.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I guess I had the expectation that they were just going to show it for this as well. So to not see it, it was kind of like, wait, what? Why are they not showing it? They've shown everything else. Why wouldn't they show us this? So that's where my disappointment came.
That's exactly the reason why. Because trust me, I thought the same thing. Like, I've been in Hall H, and there's been things I've been able to see in there that no one else has been able to see. And I also get that a lot of these people may have spent the night in line there. I don't know how. I don't think it worked that way there this year. But anyway, still, like, yeah. So far, I think the expectation has been like they're like, hey, we're streaming all the big panels and we're showing everything. And then when this comes up and I almost would have expected if you were making an exception with The Mandalorian, you would have gone out of your way to say so, like in the description of it, like, by the way, this is only the panel. We can't show stuff yet. Like, what? Then I'd be like, oh, that's what was weird about it.
Yeah, I agreed. But hopefully we'll get to see something very, very soon, because maybe that was just something special for the people there. And maybe sometime next week they'll give us that little trailer that they were able to see there. And I know there's some description of the footage out there, and I just didn't have enough time to read up on it. And I saw it maybe just slightly a couple hours before we started recording. So I just didn't get a chance to read it. But I definitely want to at least see what the footage was shown there. But before we get out of here, I would be remiss to not go to Yasha, because he seems to be the only one of us this week that watched a new movie, and he did watch Hellboy. And I gotta say, I'm curious to hear what he thinks, because the reviews on this movie have been massively bad. And so I'm very curious, Yasha. First, real quick, how did you like the Del Toro Hellboy movies, and then how does this compare?
Oh, they actually don't compare at all. The Del Toro movies were fantastic. At least I really, really thoroughly enjoyed the first one. A lot of practical effects, a lot of live action stuff, whereas in this was kind of a CGI disaster. It was all over the place. I had initially wanted to be like, oh, this was so good, the critics are wrong, and I just can't even bring myself to bullshit you guys. It just wasn't. It was such a huge miss. It was all over the place. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I hate to say this, it's more like a 3 or a 4 in regards to like watching this movie. It was just all over the place. Honest trailers, they're gonna rip it to shreds. That's one of the things that I was thinking of when I was watching the movie. Mila Jovovich, Ian McShane, David Harbour. I mean, these are actors that I look at as like, these are major, major talents, and they have the capacity for great performances and deliveries. Their talents were absolutely wasted in this film. It just was very, very wasted. There was like 3 or 4 different flashback areas where they tried to do these different scenes and, history recalls and origin stories and talking about different and giving people all these different things. It was just supremely a clusterfuck of just what is happening right now. There were some funny moments that kind of made you chuckle. All in all, this is a hard pass, and you would definitely like. I mean, Bobby, you'll probably watch it sooner or later. David, maybe Michelle, you guys might all watch it sooner or later. I would be surprised if you didn't really feel the same way. Like, there was some, like I said, some cool moments and cool scenes, but aside from that, the movie was just, it wasn't needed. It was over the top, and they tried desperately to help it earn its rated R rating, and it did not land. I know you guys know this, and I'm just going to give you a little teaser of kind of what it is, but they incorporated the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur into this storyline, and you know how much I am an affinity for that type of traditionalist story. When they started talking about that, I wanted to get up and yell "fuck you" at the screen and walk out, because it just started to piss me off, and it was just like so over the top. I was like, this is just a huge miss, and I feel bad for these actors, because, like I said, Ian McShane is a brilliant. David Harbour has earned his chops. I like Mila Jovovich. and it's just a wasted talent in
That's
this,
too bad.
with this very pathetic excuse for a script when it comes to the cohesiveness and the fluidity of the story moving forward.
Wow, that's too bad. Yeah, I had high hopes for it, and I wonder if some of that is the reason why it probably turned out maybe not so favorable is because of the involvement Mike Mignola had with the movie, who's the creator of Hellboy. So maybe wasn't quite a good thing to have the creator so intricately involved with the movie, but I definitely still will see it, and hopefully maybe I'll be in the minority and like it, but yeah, we'll see. But
it was honestly just so all over the place. It was like so weird. Like every time they turn around, it was just like a different storyline that they're trying to catch us up on. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, and I can't see a lot of people not agreeing with me, as it debuted at third and it didn't do well. Like for a $50 million budget coming in with $12 million, that's a massive flop. That's a massive flop.
Yeah, I think we'll be hard pressed to see any more Hellboy in the theaters for quite some time. But with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, David, so we can get on out of here.
Yeah, that's going to do it for this week's show. Everyone listening, we'd love to hear back from you. Let us know what you think. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. Reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at flicker_effect. These episodes are also available on YouTube, youtube.com/flickereffect. And just go to our website for all your Flicker Effect needs. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.